Welcome to the Workforce Development Collaboration Training. I'm your host, Deanna Pratt. First up, we have John Johnson. He is the Lead Employment Services Specialist from our Employment Services Department. John?
Good morning again. I'm John Johnson. I work in Employment Services, and we are one of the components of the GST MyWorks organization, where you can find resources and other things to assist you with employment, as far as training, certifications, licenses, apprenticeships, even hands-on on-the-job training, OJT, which is a thing that a lot of people think don't exist anymore. There's connections to hiring events. We actually have no problem with walking people through how to navigate the GST MyWorks website so that they can take advantage of these resources, including resume assistance, basic computer skills, because we have a lot of our neighbors that come in and they are still not akin to the read, point, and click components of using a computer. And we even have veteran services assistants that can help the veterans that have actually helped us in the past. Now, there's two ways that individuals are able to engage the services here at GST MyWorks. That would be by calling the 810-233-5974 number, extension 601 if you're more of an analog person. If you're more of a internet junkie, you can just type in www.gstmyworks.org or Google search gstmyworks.org. And all of these services are offered at each of our service centers. The other advantage to this is if you're looking for some of the virtual or in-person hiring events that are listed on the GST flyer, when you go to the website, you simply have to click on the events icon, and you can choose any of the service centers that are listed to the right here: Benton, Bad Axe, Lapeer, Carroll, Sandusky, and Shiawassee, and they'd be more than happy to engage you and inform you of the resources and assist you with what you need. Next slide. Now, one of the springboards that people need to be aware of is the MichiganTalentConnect.org website. This is instrumental in helping you to create a resume. Basically, when you create that profile, you want to make sure you keep it updated so employers are familiar with any new skills that you happen to add to that profile via GST that you've acquired. Next slide. Now, the other advantage to the GST MyWorks profile is you can add a resume, you can search for employment, you can save job searches or jobs that you've applied for, just like you would on some of the other job search engines. You can even have it email you daily, weekly, and monthly so that you can gauge the effectiveness or the communication between the website and yourself. One of the key components that we like to emphasize here at GST is to ensure that your profile categories and your profile skill words are befitting your situation so that you get active and viable opportunities sent to you regarding employment. Next slide. One of the other things that you can do is pay attention to the watch counters that are located at the bottom of the workspace on your MyTalent account, and that would be the device that shows you how much activity your resume has had or how much activity your resume has not had, and therefore that would engage you to go to maybe like the ONET website and look into the job categories and the skills so that you have the appropriate keywords. Next slide. One of the things that's important nowadays is to keep an eye on the labor market when it comes to your particular position. You have anything from, let's say, the top 10 positions in any set geographical area. One of the things that helps us in Michigan would be the LMI.org website, which is the Michigan Hot 50 Career Outlook through the year 2020 website. The other would be the High Demand, High Wage Careers ONET website, which is onetonline.org. Next slide. If you have any questions regarding these things that I've mentioned, please contact me at employmentservices@jjohnson@gstmyworks.org or 810-233-5974, extension 704. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. I don't see any questions in the chat, and I appreciate you. And we're going to move on to our next presenter. The next presenter is from our Talent Development Center. She's the Workforce Literacy Coordinator, Danielle.
The Talent Development Center, or TDC for short, was established in 2019 to better assist GST Michigan Works customers with improving their math and reading skills in order to bridge the gap between talent and employers. The mission of the Talent Development Center is to prepare individuals for success in achieving their academic and career goals by providing free educational services to adult learners to improve literacy, career skills, and confidence. The Talent Development Center seeks to provide an environment that will encourage and enable adult learners of all backgrounds and education levels to achieve their desired learning goals. Our services include assessments and placement testing, learning tools and resources for all learning styles, one-on-one tutoring, education and career coaching, study skills and test preparation, school support for GED, college, and certificate programs, and an open computer lab for all TDC participants. Here at TDC, we support all learning goals. We specialize in the areas of math, reading, language arts, English as a second language, career testing, including CASAS, WorkKeys, and entrance exams, GED prep, driver's permit, and more. You may be wondering what to expect when you engage with TDC. Here, we understand that everyone learns differently. After completing a program assessment, participants will be paired with educational material and tutoring designed to match their learning style and unique educational needs. Participants will refresh previously established skills while learning new skills necessary to qualify for desired career training and employment opportunities. At TDC, we value lifelong learning. We believe that all adults have the capacity to learn and grow. This is a photo of one of our students who recently changed career pathways and earned his commercial driver's license after years of thinking he couldn't make the change. He is now employed and seeking to add a hazardous materials certificate to his qualifications. Another TDC value is inclusion. We provide an inclusive environment in which individuals of all cultures, social identities, and education levels are respected and welcome. We serve students of all readiness levels ranging from phonics to college essay writing, addition and subtraction to the quadratic formula. We value diversity and we honor each student's unique strengths. We are proud collaborators. We collaborate with individuals, employers, and a variety of community entities in order to share goals and provide relevant resources and opportunities. We are active participants of the Genesee County Literacy Coalition, and we work closely with our internal and community partners to assure a full scope of support for our students. Collaboration enables us to work and serve more efficiently and effectively. Last but definitely not least, we value celebration. We believe that learning is fun and empowering and deserves to be celebrated. This student earned his GED just a few weeks before his 60th birthday. He is now employed in his desired career and teaching his 10-year-old grandson high school level math. Are you seeking support with your learning goal? You can find us in the lower level, room 16, to the left of the stairs. We have an open door policy Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and we're open on Fridays for appointments. You can reach us by phone at 810-233-5974, extension 739, or by email at dlepine@gstmiworks.org. We thank you for your time, and we hope to see you soon.
I don't see any questions for Danielle. Oh, there's a few. Let's see what's going on here in the chat. Okay, so Danielle, are you on?
Yep, I'm here. I see the question about the ages. So our services are for adults, so any age. If we do have youth participants, usually we will connect them with Jobs for Michigan grads or refer them to a youth program.
All right, so we are going to move ahead with our next presenter, Shamika Thompson, career coach for career services. Shamika.
Good morning, everyone. I hope your morning is going well. My name is Shamika Thompson. As you understand, I'm a career coach here at GST Michigan Works. As career coaches, we are available and we're ready to assist you with career facilitation, job search assistance, and training opportunities. Next slide. Next slide. The motivation of a career coach is to help you identify your career objectives, help you establish and meet those goals. And remember, success starts with you as well. So being consistent with us and the motivation together, we help get you a job. So through career facilitation, we offer self-assessment. Self-assessments are done through ONET provider. Learning more about yourself is what you like and what you don't like is a great way to find a perfect fit in your career. We also use labor market tools to make sure that that career that you chose is in high demand, and it's in a high demand occupation. Once you find that career, we offer workplace excellence and reemployment workshops and the reemployment classes. She actually will target that career. She'll do some research with you. She'll show you how to do mock applications for that career and also interviews. Next slide. We offer job search assistance as well. So whether you find that career and you're ready to job search, or if you just come in and say, hey, I need a full-time job and I need some job search assistance. So we help with building that resume, filling out that application and uploading it. We help with mock interviewing, getting you comfortable for that interview. So when you go into that employer, you feel confident. We help with those questions, those answers that you may have concerning interviews, and we also work closely with business services for future jobs. We stay in the know of job fairs and employer events. So once we know that job fair is coming or that employer event is coming, we'll give you a call. We'll also send you an email. We'll make sure that resume is up to date, and we'll make sure that you have clothes attires for that job search, proper attire for that job search. Next slide. So we offer training opportunities. With training opportunities, you have to be WIOA eligible, and we also have to have funding available. We offer up to $6,000 in training scholarships. With training scholarships, it can be anything in that high demand driven field that's on Pure Michigan Talent Connect. Our most popular ones are CDLA, CNA, welding, and robotics. We also offer with training assistance that could be support while you're finishing up school, or maybe even to help a little bit with that training where financial aid doesn't, that tuition with financial aid doesn't cover. We also offer on-the-job training. On-the-job training is a good way to get those skills and gain full-time employment. So once you're done with that on-the-job training, if you do really, really well, you're fit, you have those tools, and you're right in that job, and you're ready for success. Next slide. So here, In the career services, we are in the business of helping you get back to work. And if you have any questions or concerns regarding employment, feel free to give me a call at 810-265-7367, extension 225.
All right, thank you so much, Shamika. I don't see any questions in the chat. So we are going to go ahead and move on with our next presenter. She is from Career Services as well. And she's an expert in our PATH program. And she is the PATH workshop facilitator, Sharis Reeves.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Everybody did so good, so I got to step my game up here. I'll be touching on a few things, the PATH program, our Workplace Excellence Workshop Series, and also our reemployment training. I'll start with PATH. PATH actually stands for Partnership, Accountability, Training, and Hope. And it's a referral program. It takes us referrals directly from Department of Health and Human Service. It assists participants in transitioning away from public assistance by obtaining and maintaining employment. And the idea is just to get customers that are engaged with us to self-sufficiency. One of the core tools that we use in the PATH program is the GPS method, and that's goals, progress, and success. In the PATH program, the focus is truly you, creating the goals that you want to reach, making sure that we work together with the customer to find out what's important to you in your pathway to success, and then reaching whatever the customer considers to be success. Because we have participants that come in with all different life situations and all different goals, and there's not a one size fits all success. And so we work directly with the customer to figure out what success is for them. What you're looking at now is a program flow at a glance. And so it just kind of takes you through how you would move through the PATH program. You would go through DHHS to apply, and then you would have an orientation, which right now is a virtual orientation, and then meet with your coach directly. Following that, you would do an AEP eligibility period, which is just making sure that all the paperwork and everything is in order. And then you would start that PATH program and continue to work hand in hand with your coach towards the goals that you created through work readiness, through job search, through training, whatever it is that the customer is really interested in, and ultimately receive cash assistance and supportive services through that program in order to reach those goals. The exit is either A, when you no longer need the cash assistance, or sometimes people reach their time benefit and the time is up on their benefits, but we're doing everything we can in that process to get customers where they need to be before they exit our program. Next slide, please. 3 things that you will get when you're in the PATH program is a coach, and that's a well-trained caring coach who's going to help you navigate the system. And the important piece about a coach is that they don't tell you what to do. They ask you the questions that are important to figure out what you kind of want to do next in your process. Also a plan, so your coach will sit with you and develop a plan that you want for your life and what the next steps might be in order for you to reach your goals. And then just the support you need. Resources that are of interest to you. You may need transportation. The supportive service piece is so large with the PATH program. I don't have a list of things that I can roll out, but what I would say is if it's something that can help a customer reach self-sufficiency, it's probably available through the PATH program. And the important thing is just to communicate with your coach and ask them what's available. Next slide, please. So if you have questions about the application process or eligibility for PATH, you can go to michigan.gov/mybridges, also 888-642-7434. And then there's also a number below that for general questions. If you just wanted to know how the PATH program works, whether or not you're eligible, a piece of eligibility I can tell you is having children in the home. You have to have dependent children in the home. Next slide. Workplace Excellence is a flexible, interactive workshop series that focuses primarily on the soft skills that we need. In order to be able to be successful in today's workplace, we talk about what the employer really wants, what today's employer is really looking for. Participants are given an opportunity to look at things from an employer's perspective, which sometimes allows them to be able to step kind of out of our own shoes and into what that employer may be experiencing when dealing with us. Is broken down into 4 days, 8 modules. Participants can decide to do the whole week at one time, Monday through Thursday, or they can decide because they have a job or because of life that they can only attend 2 a week. And however it works for them, we allow customers to sign up however it's easy and attend. throughout that process. Next slide, please. This is a schedule. And so there's 2 workshops each day. 10 to 12 is the morning workshop. 1 to 3 is the afternoon workshop. And again, it's flexible. So you could come Monday, finish Thursday, or you could break it up over a few weeks, whatever's comfortable. Next slide. There is a certificate that's received at the end of this process, and it is stamped with GST Michigan Works. And as we all know, in the state of Michigan, that is a recognizable seal. And so especially for somebody who may have been out of work for any period of time and wants to re-enter that workforce, this will be a great certificate to be able to show that although I've been out of work, very recently I covered these 8 things, which are all important to any employer, and brush up on your soft skills so that we can get in there and perform, because we want to not just get the job, but be able to sustain the job once we get it. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, and workplace excellence happens on a weekly basis. This next program or training is the reemployment week. It actually happens every other week at this location, and they are covering things like if you have a criminal record, how do you discuss that? If you have long-term employment, how are you going to re-enter into the workplace? If you have trouble selling yourself on paper or just need to work on your interview skills, which a lot of us do. You know, it's been a long time since I was in an interview, and I'm sure if I had to do one tomorrow, I'd be a little nervous. And so these are all ways that customers can brush up and get some of that nervousness off of them and get ready to re-enter the workforce. Next slide, please. This is the schedule. This one is only a 3-day workshop, and that 3rd day is not really a day. That 3rd day is really just a 30-minute one-on-one simulated interview that's set with the facilitator. And it really, I've seen it happen. It really feels like a real interview. The customer comes in, they sit in the front, she'll come out and get them and actually go over some of the things that they've learned in day 1 and day 2. Day 1, they cover traps and apps. So that's how do we sell ourselves on paper? And day 2, Soul Survivor, how do we ace that interview, which is the thing that I think makes a lot of us nervous. Day 3, we're actually putting it in play. You come in, you have a simulated interview, and then she really discusses with them what she thinks they need to work on. And if a customer would like, they're able to, again, set up another mock interview or simulated interview and try it again in a couple of weeks until they feel like they've mastered the process. If you have any questions or you want to get set up for any of these workshops, you can feel free to reach out to me by email at sreeves@gstmiworks.org. And then the phone number is 810-232-4193, extension 116. I saw something pop up in the chat. For which, are you talking about PATH when you ask that question? Would adults with a child in the home without DHS cash benefits be eligible? Not for PATH. Not for PATH, but what I recommend and what somebody else may touch on in this process is going to the GST Michigan Works website and connecting with the coach, because there's a ton of programs here. So likely if you don't qualify for one program like PATH, you may fall under other programs that you can qualify for. So the best route, if you find that, no, I know I can't qualify for cash assistance, don't just drop the ball there. Go ahead and go to our website, connect with the coach, and figure out what you might qualify for. But the workshops are open to the public, so you don't have to be in a program to attend those workshops.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sheris. That was a lot of information and you shared it well. We appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next presenter from Business Services. She is the Business Services Manager for Genesee and Shiawassee Counties, Cindy Thornway. Cindy?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Go ahead, Deanna, if you want to go to the next slide. Okay, so GST Michigan Works Business Services Department is here to assist the employers of Genesee, Lapeer, Sanilac, Shiawassee, and Tuscola counties. We help our businesses survive and thrive in today's economy. Our goal is to help strengthen our region and the state's economy by assisting to select, hire, develop, and retain a high-performance workforce. We support businesses in many different ways. We can assist businesses to find and retain talent. We can assist them in rating and pre-screening their potential applicants. We also customize added services to meet their unique needs. And our goal is to retain the talent that they have and to reduce employee turnover. Next slide. So you may be wondering, how can business services actually help the job seeker? And we do that in several different ways. And the main way is that we work very closely with our career coaches in order to match those qualified candidates to the open positions that our employers have available. Normally, our job seekers will be working with the career coach one-on-one. And then when that career coach determines the job seeker has all the tools they need to be successful in their job search, then they'll contact a business solutions professional, and we call them BSPs. So then the BSP is going to look at all the open positions that they have for their employers that they're working with and match that job seeker to that job that best fits their needs and what they're looking for. The career coach and the BSP is going to work very closely together. And then they're going to talk about what that job seeker needs. Do they need a job that's on the bus line? Do they need a job that's first or second shift? Maybe English is their second language. All of these will help the BSP to determine the perfect placement for that job seeker. Our number one goal is to set all of our job seekers up for success. Next slide. Once the BSP gets that resume from the career coach, they're going to send that resume to the employer. If the employer feels, because then it's up to the employer will decide if that job seeker is qualified for their open position, and the employer will reach out directly. At that point, we encourage the job seeker to wow the employer and get that position. We're not responsible for getting the job seeker the job, but we will strongly advocate on their behalf to the employer. Let's see. We also have an on-site business solutions professional who works directly in the service center, and they meet with individuals who are ready to go to work when they come into the building. And they will sit down with them and determine what open positions are the best fit for them at that time. Let's see, I think you can go to the next slide, Deanna. Another way that we can assist is we have the on-the-job training, as John mentioned earlier. This is a federally funded program that is targeted towards employers to help defray the cost of training when they hire their employees. So if you are a new employee at an employer and they decide to offer you employment, they may ask you to visit your GST Michigan Works Service Center, and there you will be required to complete the necessary paperwork for that OJT to happen. Once the paperwork is completed and the job seeker is determined eligible, the OJT can begin. And at that point, the job seeker may also qualify to receive supportive services such as work clothing, bus passes, mileage reimbursement. There's many different things. I can't list them all off to you. It totally depends on that individual and what that individual's needs are at that current time. This training allows the job seeker to learn the necessary job functions and to become proficient at their job during those specified training hours. Next slide. Okay, we can also help our job seekers and employers with incumbent worker training. Some employees sometimes need extra assistance to maintain or retain their job by enhancing their skills. IWTs are used for layoff aversion. So if somebody is facing a layoff and they need to be upskilled in order to maintain their job, that's when we could come in with this incumbent worker training. That also requires paperwork to be completed. So the employer may ask the job seeker to come to our service center to do the paperwork. This program also allows the job seeker to be upskilled and receive an industry-wide credential. This not only helps make that job seeker a more desirable candidate, but it also gives them a chance at becoming a long-term employee for that employer. And just a side note, the employee is not responsible for paying for this credential. The employer actually will pay for it, and then a portion of that training will be reimbursed through these funds. Next slide. Great. And then I also just wanted to point out real quickly that we work with our employers and we schedule multiple hiring events in the service centers. Sometimes we have multiple employers. We can have up to 12 employers at one time in the service center for a hiring event. And we also have single employer events, and all of those are always listed on our website. So if you have any questions, you can contact me at the information that's on the screen. Do we have any questions?
Oh, there's a question that just came in. Is the incumbent worker training, does it have limited funds?
Yes. All the programs are different. It depends on the training. It depends on the length of training. That is something that we would sit down with the employer to determine. Great question, though.
All right, thank you so much, Cindy. That was a wonderful presentation. We really appreciate you coming on. So thank you so much. Our next presenter is Wanda Bigelow. She is the apprenticeship manager in our business services. Wanda.
Good morning. All right, so apprenticeship. And I just want to start out by saying apprenticeships are work-based learning models where apprentices have supervised on-the-job training along with job-related education, and they're also they're earning a wage, and that increases during the progression of their apprenticeship program. Next slide. Apprenticeship basics. Apprenticeship programs range from 1 to 5 years. That is depending on the occupation that an employer wants to create an apprenticeship program for. An apprentice must spend at least 144 hours in a classroom yearly for every 2,000 hours they're on the job. Classroom training can be completed at a community college, in-house, or a combination of the three. The ratio is 1 apprentice to 1 trainer or mentor. And I might be going into my next slide. Oh, nope, sorry about that. And then there must be at least 1 wage increase. I want to just mention about the apprenticeship basics. So talking about the employer benefits of them starting an apprenticeship program. An employer develops and grows a highly skilled workforce. An apprenticeship program creates a talent pipeline and attracts candidates interested in a career. There is a reduction in turnover, and an employer fosters employee loyalty because they are providing professional growth. The employer creates a customized, flexible training solution to meet their unique needs. An employer also retains institutional knowledge as the current experts near retirement age, and the company is considered for funding opportunities tied to registered apprenticeship programs. So benefits, next slide, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go right into it. So the benefits for an employee or job seekers entering into an apprenticeship program. The job seeker, the apprentice, gets to earn a paycheck while learning the skills they need to succeed in an occupation from day one. They are an employee of that employer. An apprenticeship program is hands-on career training. So again, an individual is going to be on the job 2,000 hours, and then they'll spend about 20% of the time in the classroom learning what they're doing on the job, the theory behind what they're doing on the job. An apprentice gets an education, and it is a career. All of these are careers, not just a job. And just to mention that the education comes with, there's how do I want to say this? So apprentice gets the education and there's not high debt once you complete an apprenticeship program. Retention is captured for the employer because the apprentice typically stays working for the employer that has invested in their professional growth, and the apprentice earns a nationally recognized credential from the Department of Labor, signifying that they are skilled in an occupation. Next slide. So how GST is involved. The services that we offer for employers, we help identify existing models for occupations of interest. We connect the employer with appropriate funding resources to assist with their program. We coordinate all meetings with training providers, and then we draw up that training and education outline based on the employer's input. We submit the employer's registration to the Department of Labor and handle all administrative tasks for the length of the program. That's not where we stop helping the employer though, because we're gonna continue assisting the employer with program updates as their workforce needs evolve, and we're gonna promote that employer's program and assist with recruitment if they are in need of that. Next slide. So some of the services that we offer for job seekers or individuals wanting to go into an apprenticeship program. We help job seekers identify occupations of interest. There are over 1,400 occupations that we can have an apprenticeship program for. Many times someone will say that they just want to be in an apprenticeship program, so we will work with that person to identify an actual occupation. Some of the resources for individuals interested in an apprenticeship program include career coaches who are knowledgeable about occupations. We have trifolds that talk about how someone can get into an apprenticeship program. We have developed some informational postcards for construction trade unions that highlight what somebody would be doing on the job, what documents they would need to apply for a construction trade union apprenticeship program, and the length of what that program is. We also do the apprenticeship zone, and that is every Friday starting at 9 a.m. And what that is an opportunity for job seekers to get online and ask any questions they have about getting into an apprenticeship program. As we're helping employers create new programs, we have leads on programs that are hiring apprentices. And then also we help the construction trade union apprenticeship programs recruit. We offer work use testing because many of the apprenticeship programs require that testing. And we coordinate the tutoring services that GST, and I know that was mentioned earlier, but we do coordinate that. So we're able to get individuals where their test scores may not be at the level that a specific apprenticeship program is requiring. And then we also provide support to remove barriers once someone has entered into an apprenticeship program. Next slide. All right, so if you have any questions, or I do tell job seekers if they are working for an employer and they want to be trained in a certain area, they can always ask their employer if they would be willing to start an apprenticeship program. These services are offered for free to the employer. And then if anybody's working with employers that want to start an apprenticeship program, please have them get in contact with me, and I'm super flexible, and I work with that employer to get a program put together.
All right, thank you so much, Wanda. I don't see any questions in the chat, but Wanda's email address and cell phone number and office number is listed there. If you think of something later on, please feel free to give her a call. We are going to move on to our next speaker. She is with the Michigan Rehabilitation Services, we say MRS, and her name is Linda Watson. Linda?
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much. So yes, I am the site manager for the Flint office of Michigan Rehabilitation Services. So I oversee Genesee and Tuscola County, but my district oversees the entire thumb. So same sort of coverage area that Michigan Works has. We'll move along to the next slide. So this is our mission and our vision. As stated, I'm from MRS, which is a vocational rehabilitation state agency. And you might be asking yourself, what is voc rehab, or VR for short? Many people initially think it's substance abuse or physical rehab, but voc rehab is entirely vocational. So it's employment focused in nature. And VR has been around for about 100 years for the purpose of assisting qualified individuals with disabilities to find or maintain gainful employment. And we also support businesses with their diversity and inclusion efforts specific to disability. So VR is at the state and federal level, represented with about 25,000 government employees across the country. And we have about a $3.5 billion budget that allows us to serve about 1 million people across the nation and tens of thousands of businesses, actually. We represent the largest talent pool of qualified individuals with disabilities. And we do partner with businesses to ensure their successful outcomes. But we also partner with community partners and organizations such as Michigan Works and Catholic Charities. And our customers can utilize the benefits of our program alongside being a part of other programs such as Michigan Works and Catholic Charities. You can go to the next slide. So we do serve that dual customer. And if you want to click the mouse a few times, it'll bring up some interesting bullet points. We help individuals with disabilities find, maintain employment, like I said, but we also help businesses. And here are some stats for you. So we've served over 48,000 folks last year across all 83 counties in the state of Michigan and close to about 6,000 businesses. The services that we provide are varied and they're always individual based upon the person in combination with things like aptitudes, interests, experiences, limitations, and abilities. I'm going to go into that a bit further in a moment. I want you guys to think about this question. You don't need to provide me the answer, but this is really at the heart of why we do what we do over here at MRS. Statistically speaking, how many more times do you think it takes a person with a disability to have to interview for a job than a person without a disability? And the answer to that is 10 more times. So that is why we do what we do. And let's go on to the next slide. So since I started talking today, I've already mentioned the word disability a number of times. We've talked about customers we serve, having disabilities, and statistics for employment for persons with disabilities. But what really is a disability? You know, in the world of employment, we use the legal definition to define what a disability is, and not just in voc rehab, but every single business that you encounter in the world uses the legal definition of disability because they have to. So businesses that have 15 or more employees fall under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and businesses that have less than 15 employees actually fall under the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. So everyone uses the legal definition of what a disability is. And I think it's really important for everyone to know what that definition is because it'll help shape your picture of disability. We all have a picture of disability in our mind, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit more too. But the legal definition of disability really does differ from the definition that Social Security uses to make a determination on whether or not someone can or cannot work. So it's not the same thing, and we're going to go based upon what the ADA says. So the ADA defines a person with a disability as a person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activity. Well, what's a major life activity? It can include almost everything you can think of. So here are some examples: eating, sleeping, seeing, hearing, walking, breathing, learning, sitting, standing, lifting, working in general, caring for yourself, or performing any sort of manual task. It also includes people who have a record of or a history of an impairment, even if they currently don't have a disability. So if you're wondering what that might look like, that could be someone that's in remission from a cancer diagnosis, someone who's not currently exhibiting symptoms of a diagnosis that they've had, lupus, Crohn's, someone who's currently stable and the condition is well controlled. That could be depression or anxiety or a heart condition. And the ADA also defines a disability as it includes individuals who do not have a disability, but they're regarded as having a disability. So that can be a little harder to understand, but really that involves if the employer is looking at an individual and considering that they have a disability, the ADA is going to protect them as if they did have a disability. Let's go into this a little bit more on the next slide. Here's where I personally think things get a little bit clearer and more interesting. So disability can really be broken down into two different categories. We have the visible and the invisible. A visible disability is an impairment that could be cognitive, so thinking, learning, developmental, something that you acquire from birth and in your early 12 to 24 months, intellectual, learning disabilities, things like that, mental illness, physical, sensory, or a combination of those. It can substantially affect a person's life activities. And like I said, it can be present at birth or it can occur at any point during that person's lifetime. Visible disabilities are something that would be immediately apparent to others. So maybe that person uses an assistive device, such as a wheelchair, a cane, a scooter, or has a prosthetic limb. This disability category is what the world thinks of most often when you think of someone with a disability. The other category is a little bit harder to understand, and sometimes it's even harder to accept, unfortunately, and that's individual disabilities. So they're not immediately apparent. They're often called hidden disabilities because they're not necessarily seen immediately. So let me provide a little bit of an example. I want you to imagine that it's a really busy shopping season. So let's just say Black Friday, and everybody's actually going to stores. And you pull into a parking lot and the parking lot is so busy and you're looking for that parking space and you don't find anything. So you have to park down an aisle, but you see someone else who comes in and they whip in and they park in that accessible parking spot. Also known sometimes people still want to call it a handicap parking spot. And they get out and they throw their purse over their shoulder and they happily walk in the store. In your mind, do you perhaps think, that person doesn't have a disability? They must be using their grandma's tag or they're parking there illegally. But what you don't know is what potentially could be going on the inside for someone. Maybe that person suffers from congestive heart failure or has a respiratory illness, fibromyalgia, and maybe they have lupus, but this is the first time that they've been feeling great and everything that they can do for that day is just get out and go shopping. Maybe the rest of the day is going to be difficult for them. Lots of individuals have what we call these hidden disabilities that the world doesn't see, but yet we put our own perception on those folks. So others may not understand the cause of the problem if they can't see the evidence in the visible way. In the US, 96% of people with chronic medical conditions show no outward signs of their illness. And this is one reason why there's still such a high stigma associated with mental illness, which mental illness is a disability. And although the disability creates a challenge for the person who has it, the reality of the disability can be difficult for others to recognize or even acknowledge it. Overall, 1 in 4 Americans has a disability. So this means if there are 40 people in this meeting, statistically, 10 of us has a disability. Maybe visible, maybe invisible. All right, let's move on. So this is an example of hidden disabilities, and I'm going to give you my disclaimer. This list is not all inclusive. It's just intended to give you an example of various diagnoses that could be considered a disability under the ADA if this physical or mental impairment did limit one or more major life activities. I'm not going to go over this because it is an exhaustive list and you guys should all have a copy of this, but I want to point out a couple of them. In the first column, you'll see a number of mental illnesses. In the second column, you'll see some things that maybe you never thought were a disability: ADHD, learning disabilities, sleep disorders. Maybe now, after looking at this list, you've realized that you've already worked with individuals who have disabilities, maybe as customers, maybe side by side as a coworker, or maybe you yourself has a disability. Often consumers feel uncomfortable discussing their limitations, standing up and saying they have a disability, discussing it on the job with managers, but also with people in the community that serve them. And this is really where MRS can step in and help those consumers, but community partners and businesses as well, because we will partner to go through that process of helping someone recognize their disability and also learn how to advocate for themselves so they can conquer or handle the barriers that they have to be successful in employment. And it's really important that you understand the limitations you may be seeing in a population you're serving. They could be a disability, and someone may not recognize that in themselves as a disability, but we call it a disability. So if you're working with customers who can't read or sign off on information, that could be a learning disability. If someone has focus and attention issues, acting out, eccentric, risky behaviors, highs and lows in their mood, that could also be an example of a disability. And that, again, is where MRS can help. You can go to the next slide. All right, I'm trying to speed through this, guys, because I know that we're short on time due to the things we had on the front end, so bear with me. It's a lot of information. So at MRS, everyone has the right to apply for our services, but we are an eligibility-based program. So that means that people have to be found eligible for our services, and every staff member that works with customers is a master level clinician. They're a voc rehab counselor, either they have a degree in counseling, social work, psychology, something of that nature. Our process does take time and it can be frustrating to some. So we make every effort to explain that process up front so that way folks know what exactly we're doing behind the scenes and we can help move them forward. So as I said, we have that eligibility process, but once someone contacts us, they can contact us through various methods to complete an application. The phone, they can walk in, they can mail in something. Really, there's no wrong door when it comes to someone who wants to sign up for our services. And once we have them here and have that application, we can begin that eligibility process. So we'll request documentation from a treatment provider to verify that they have a disability, or we can even send them to treatment providers, testing professionals to get documentation to know what the disability is, learn about the barriers, and how to best assist that person. Once we determine the eligibility for someone, we can begin working with them to develop their plan, their individual plan for employment. And in that plan, we can put a ton of meat and potatoes. We could put a ton of individualized services based specifically on the needs of that customer. Some of those services we're going to talk about in the next slide, but there are many, many more that I won't even be able to get to. And that's why I can't basically list out all of our services, because they're all individual and they're all aimed to help that person get to competitive employment out in the marketplace. We even help people retain their employment. Sometimes folks will come to us who are hard of hearing and they need a hearing aid to continue doing their job. And the employer provided health insurance only pays about $1,000 of the hearing aid. And if you didn't know, hearing aids, a pair of them can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000 and upwards. So MRS can assist in paying for the rest of that to help keep that person on their job. There's many other services that we provide to help people support that gainful employment. But really, truly, we have to spend time with that person, which again, can look like a little bit of a longer process, but it helps us get to know them. Next slide, and this is my last slide. So these are some of the potential services that we provide. We do a lot of different things, like I said, but depending upon the needs of that individual who we're working with, we can provide job coaching where someone goes to the job and works side by side with them until they learn that. We do all sorts of on-the-job training things, again, partnering with other community agencies, things like apprenticeships and stuff as well. Will help someone develop their resume, but also the skills that they need, a lot of soft skill development and training. And the specialized assistance that we provide can go above and beyond other services that I think you may see, because we will work with that person individually if they have specific issues related to their disability, and maybe it's a barrier for them to go through a typical program. Again, we help people maintain their current job through different services that I talked about, also help people get accommodations on the job that maybe they don't know how to get and how to ask for. Everything that we do is career counseling. That's voc guidance and counseling. We do help people with job placement assistance, and we do partner with businesses in the community as well. A number of us also have our business solutions professional credential from Michigan Works, and we have some specialized staff that help us do that as well, business consultants. And we have some occupational therapists that can evaluate and make some disability specific recommendations for what folks actually need to be successful. We also provide support for people to get training, short-term training, vocational training. We will help fund college when someone qualifies. And we have our very own training institute, Michigan Career and Technical Institute, that provides 13 different credentials in vocational trades, things like construction, electronics, IT, culinary arts, pharmacy tech, certified nursing assistant, and on and on. If you guys are looking for additional information, if you want to go to the next slide, this is my contact information, and I am always available to talk to anyone to provide information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Linda. That was fantastic. And I definitely learned a lot more than I knew yesterday. I don't see any questions in the chat. So before we all leave, I want to show you the referral page. Really quickly, we'll go to the referral page. So you go to gstmyworks.org. When we made it simple for you, /work. Press enter, and then there's the page. We are going to, so there, you just simply add in their first and last name, their address or their email address, phone number, street address, how did they hear about us, and what career or job they're interested in. Then we have some disability questions. Those are optional, and we make that clear there. And then we are gonna add a question that asks about the case manager. Contact information, we'll add that here shortly, but it's a really quick entry form. Very quick, and then we will contact the person that's being referred to us. They'll either get a call back from Michigan Works or MRS. And that concludes this training.